Quarterback tiers.
Good afternoon, Bay Nation. Welcome to another episode of Fantasy Bay. I'm your host, Mike Williams, and my co-host here is named Geoffrey.
Good afternoon, Bay Nation.
Today we're going to be going over quarterback tiers. So if you've seen my previous episodes, I have tier-based drafting, which is basically grouping together players that are going to score the same amount roundabout, and you just pick from one of those in that tier, and then you know the one below it is a lower tier, so they're going to be not as good as the players above their tier. So what do I look for when I'm trying to draft a quarterback? Well, one, I look at, do they rush? Rushing quarterbacks have an advantage in fantasy football. When it comes to rushing, a player gets 1 point for every 10 yards they run. But when it comes to passing, they get 1 point every 25 yards they pass. So if a player runs for 50 yards, they get 5 points. To get that amount of points from throwing the ball, you need to have 125 yards. Now, that's a big difference. Now, that's why I prioritize running. All right, next, you look at the supporting cast. What's the talent like around him? I prefer quarterbacks that have a running back that catches the ball because it's nice to be able to dump your pass off to, Saquon Barkley, and he takes it to the house 60 yards down the field. You're getting those points for your quarterback because he threw him the ball. I love having a talented running back next to me. I love having a top tier wide receiver or multiple wide receivers that I think are going to be very useful throughout the season. Another thing is attempts. I like quarterbacks that have a solid amount of attempts. I don't want them to not throw the ball very often unless they're heavy running. If they run a lot, then they don't have to throw a lot. Like Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson only threw for like 3,000 something yards last year, but he ran for over 1,000, which was outrageous. Obviously, he could possibly do something like that again, but like I was saying, if you run a lot, it's okay, you don't have to throw a lot. But if you have a quarterback that's not running, I need you to throw a decent amount, or you need to throw a lot of touchdowns. So that's how I evaluate my quarterbacks. Anything else, Geoffrey?
Quarterback is very deep this year.
All right, let's get on to tier 1.
Tier 1.
Tier 1, quarterback 1, Lamar Jackson, you deserve it. You are absolutely amazing. Lamar Jackson is a beast. Yes, he only threw for like 3,000 something yards, but he ran for 1,200 yards. That's the most rushing from a quarterback ever. I'm talking Mike Vick, Cam Newton, all those people before him. He is an absolute monster. I don't think there's a question that he's going to be number 1. When you're running for almost 1,000 yards, that's like a running back and a quarterback in the same position. It's crazy. And yeah, 36 touchdowns is a lot of touchdowns, but you're telling me you don't think he can get 26, 28, 30 maybe? I don't normally draft quarterbacks in early rounds. And I actually advise that you should not draft quarterbacks in the early rounds. Unless we're talking about Lamar Jackson or Pat Mahomes. I don't think that you should draft them in the first 2 rounds. Because I think that you should be loading up on your running backs because of how shallow the depth is for running back positions. But in the 3rd round, I can't really blame you for going Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes. I don't think that I could do it, but I totally can't blame you for doing it. They're beasts. They're absolutely amazing. One of the things that made Lamar Jackson a league winner, though, that I do want to point out is you drafted him super late, towards the very end of the draft. Now, you're paying a 3rd round pick for him. The value's not there. The talent is, I think the production's going to be, but who's the next Lamar Jackson? I actually have a couple ideas. I'll talk about those later. All right, Geoffrey, you got anything?
He had more rushing yards than all running backs not on this list.
True that. All right, on to the next one. The second person in this tier, Patrick Mahomes. All right, Geoffrey, just like we rehearsed.
I thought you were kidding. Do I have to, sir?
Yeah, it'll be fun.
As you wish, Mr. Williams.
Where my homies?
Where they at, Where they at?
Where my homies?
They up to no good.
Great job, Geoffrey. Great job. I love it. Absolutely fantastic. Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback 2 on my list. He's the end of tier 1. Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson set themselves apart from everybody else. Patrick Mahomes is a special quarterback. I don't need to go into too much detail. Everybody who's watched football knows that Patrick Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks that we have in our league, if not one of the best quarterbacks, soon to be of all time. There's very few things he can't do. He doesn't run a lot, but he can run. He has a crazy strong arm, extremely accurate, can throw off balance, running sideways, falling down, left-handed. You name it, he can do it. Patrick Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. If you take him over Lamar Jackson, I understand. He is amazing, a beast. Super Bowl champ. I, again, won't be drafting him as much as everybody else, but if you get him in the 3rd round or later, it's a value. I think that it's perfectly fine if you do. 1st and 2nd round, hard pass. 3rd and pass, 3rd round and after, good to go. Only those 2 though. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. That's it. Geoffrey, do you have anything that you want to add?
I think I should stick to analyzing football statistics and leave the singing to you.
Well, I thought it was funny. What did you think? Troll me down below.
Tier 2.
All right. Dak Prescott is my number 3 quarterback. He had an outrageously amazing year. I'm sure Dallas wished they paid him when they had the chance. Now he is searching for buku bucks. He has some contract issues that he's working through, but assuming he plays, he's going to be an amazing quarterback. He threw for 30 touchdowns last year for almost 5,000 yards. He was amazing. And what did they do during the offseason? They replaced Randall Cobb, who I like, who's a fine wide receiver, with CeeDee Lamb, one of the best prospects out of college. That was an amazing draft pick. They didn't even need him. They have an embarrassment of riches on their team talent-wise. They have Amari Cooper, beast. Michael Gallup, one of the most underrated players in the league. CeeDee Lamb, amazing prospect. One of the best running backs in the league with Ezekiel Elliott, a great prospect in Blake Jarwin. They have an amazing offense. Their offensive line is fantastic. He checks all the boxes. He is going to have an amazing year this year. He also runs a little bit. Watch out for Dak Prescott. He's going to be very solid. What a crazy offseason for Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray went from having a running back that they weren't using, he was on the bench, David Johnson, to trading him and his huge contract for DeAndre Hopkins, one of the best wide receivers in the league. He is straight up elite. That man can catch anything. Kyler Murray has just upgraded his receiving core so much. I am so excited to find out what he can actually do with this. He has Larry Fitzgerald, who is still underrated somehow and steady. He has Christian Kirk, who is a great wide receiver. He was injured last year. He's going to come in this year and play fantastic. He has DeAndre Hopkins, arguably one of the top 5 wide receivers in the league. And now he has a running game in Kenyon Drake who he can dump it off to. I absolutely love Kyler Murray. He also gets it done on the ground, 500 plus yards on the ground. I think that he's going to have a fantastic year. Absolutely draft him. You can get him in the 6th, 7th round too. Great deal. Next, we have Russell Wilson, Mr. Unlimited. What a crazy tweet that was, or Instagram story, whatever the heck it was. Anyways, Mr. Unlimited has been a beast these last few years. He's thrown for 30 plus touchdowns every year for the last 3 years. He's extremely efficient, very talented, and he has been chirping a little bit saying that he wants them to let Russ cook. If they let Russ cook and they throw the ball a little bit more, man, this offense is going to be clicking on all cylinders. They have a fantastic run game, which is going to help open up the passing game. Russell Wilson is a beast, and I can definitely see him ending in the top 3. I don't know if he's going to pass Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. Pat Mahomes could throw like 45, 50 touchdowns, and Lamar Jackson could run for 1,000 yards. But behind them, he could definitely creep up. All right. On to the next one. Next on my list, Deshaun Watson. As you saw earlier, Deshaun Watson lost one of his best wide receivers in the league, or one of his best wide receivers. DeAndre Hopkins, that's going to be a huge blow to him. That being said, Brandon Cooks is a 1,000-yard receiver. Will Fuller, when healthy, is an absolute beast. And I think that they'll fill in some of the holes there. I think David Johnson gets involved more in the passing game. They still have Duke Johnson. And I think that he's going to do a little bit more with his legs as well. He was down a little bit last year. He had 400 something yards rushing. Previous years he had 500. I think he goes back up to 550, maybe a little bit more. And he's a winner. He is going to do what they need to do to win. I really like Deshaun Watson, and that's why I keep him up in this tier. He has a rushing floor, and he always seems to make it happen. I like Deshaun Watson as a talent, as a person. He's just really good, really cool, and I'm happy that he still falls in the top 10. All right, on to the next one. Next is Drew Brees. Drew Brees is absolutely fantastic. He's extremely talented. Yes, he's getting older, but that just means he's chasing records now. And last year, he got injured. He hurt his hand. And when he came back, a lot of people forget this. He was the 4th best quarterback in the league from week 8 on. He's an absolute beast. To throw 27 touchdowns in 11 games, that's outrageous. He is incredible. Drew Brees is a beast. Do not sleep on him. He is going way too late in drafts. He shouldn't be going that late. I'm telling you, do not miss out on Drew Brees. He is going for records. That means when it's close, they may not run it. They may throw it because Drew Brees needs an extra touchdown to keep up with Tom Brady or pass Tom Brady. Tom, I'm expecting you to keep up with them. Pace for pace, man. Blow for blow. Touchdown for touchdown. Yard for yard. Drew Brees and Tom Brady are going to be something to watch this year. I cannot believe we're about to see this go down. I'm so excited. We're watching history, everybody. Strap in and enjoy the ride. Anything else, Geoffrey?
Drew Brees currently has 6 more touchdowns than Tom Brady all time. This year may decide who has the record.
That's a great stat.
Tier 3. Rapid round.
All right. Tier 3 is a rapid round. I'm going to go over the quarterbacks for these teams and give you a small little blurb of why I like them and why I ranked them the way I did. All right. Josh Allen started off, like I said earlier, rushing quarterbacks are valuable. He runs for like 500 yards a year. That's going to be a solid baseline. Yes, he doesn't throw it as well as the other quarterbacks on this list, but 500 rushing yards is a lot of points, and that's going to get him a long way. Also, just added Stephon Diggs. I definitely think this is going to help the offense. So he's not the best deep passer, but Stephon Diggs is one of the best. I definitely think that's going to be a great combination. They're going to work well together, and Josh Allen's going to be pretty solid. Next. Tom Brady. Tom Brady has come to Tampa Bay to show that he can still do it. Show that he can dominate, and he has the weapons to do it. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski. Now he has Leonard Fournette, and he has Ronald Jones in the backfield. And O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate. He has all the weapons he needs to perform. He wants to show the world that he is the man. Yes, Bill Belichick did work. He did a great job. He's one of the greatest coaches of all time, but he has his quarterback pride too, and I think that Tom Brady is about to put on a show, baby. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Oh, this is going to be awesome. Anyways, next. Matt Ryan, Matty Ice. Everybody's predicting Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley to have a great year. Hayden Hurst is supposed to have a great year. Todd Gurley is supposed to be coming back and doing well. That can't happen without Matt Ryan throwing for a lot of yards. And he's gotten close to 5,000 yards a few times. And I actually think he's going to get close again this year. I think Matt Ryan could be very solid for fantasy football. He has the weapons. He's very consistent. He's going to get 4,000 plus yards. Book it. He always does. So I definitely think if this is a Calvin Ridley breakout year, I think that Matt Ryan is going to have to throw for 45 plus 100 yards this year. And I think that's going to be amazing. Next. Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is extremely talented, but injuries has plagued his career. Not just his, which he's had a few. He's actually dealing with a lower back injury at the moment. But he's going to be probably okay. His receivers are constantly injured. Alshon Jeffrey possibly going on the PUP, may start on the year pretty injured. Jalen Reagor, one of their top draft pick, injured. 2 offensive linemen, so that amazing offensive line that they had before isn't going to be as well. Miles Sanders is a little dinged up. He is seeing injuries left, right, and center, and I think that he will still run the ball. He had around 250 last year. He had 300 a couple years ago. I think that he'll run the ball. He still has an amazing arm, and people will fill in. Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert. If Deshaun Jackson stays healthy, he is going to be a beast for this team. Anyways, this is Wrap It Round. Next. Aaron Rodgers is still a bad man, as Stephen A would say. I think that Aaron Rodgers is going to come out firing. Yes, his offense has changed to where they want to run the ball more and all that stuff, and that's all fine and good. I can't remember who said this, but fighters have a plan until they get punched in the mouth. If Green Bay's down, they're not going to be running the ball nonstop. They won 13 games last year. Like 7 or more of those were very close games, like 1-score games. If those are going the other way and they need Aaron Rodgers, he's going to throw touchdowns. They're not just going to be running the ball out every play. So I think that he's going to be valuable. He's going to try to throw plenty of touchdowns to show management, hey, you drafted a quarterback in the first round. Not only did you draft one, you traded up to get one. Who do you think you are? He's a bad man, and he's about to prove it to them. I'm along for the ride. Watch out for Devontae Adams being a beast this year. Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford had a fantastic year last year prior to his injury. He played 8 games. He was on pace for 5,000 yards, on pace for 38 touchdowns. He was on fire, and I like his weapons. I like Kenny Golladay, Marvin Jones Jr., if those two can stay healthy and he stays healthy, he's going to have an absolutely fantastic year. DeAndre Swift in the background. Kerryon Johnson is healthy for now. I think that Matthew Stafford has a chance of having a very good year. Boom. All right. That's tier 3. So, Geoffrey, you got anything to add to that?
They are all great draft picks.
All right. On to the next one.
Tier 4. Rapid round.
All right. Tier 4. These are all players that have a lot of question marks, but I think they have great upside. All right. We're going to start with, in my opinion, one of the biggest upsides in fantasy football right now. Cam Newton to the Patriots. I feel like, bold prediction, he could be the Lamar Jackson of this year. Mind you, Lamar Jackson drafted super late, became very valuable, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. What does Bill Belichick do? He utilizes his tools in his toolbox. And Cam Newton, a lot of people saying, oh, Cam Newton can't be Tom Brady. He doesn't have to be Tom Brady. He won't be asked to be Tom Brady. Bill Belichick put a team around Tom Brady that worked for Tom. This is going to be Cam Newton. They're going to be able to do things that they couldn't do with Tom Brady. All the rushes, all the bootlegs. It's going to be a completely different offense. And I think that Cam Newton about to be dabbing on them folks. Superman, left and right. I think that Cam Newton is going to be an absolutely fantastic quarterback, and you can get him late in drafts. You heard it here first. All right, Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones actually had a pretty solid showing, but I think he had like 30 turnovers, combined interceptions and fumbles. It was crazy, but he had a lot of touchdowns. There's a lot of upside. He has great wide receivers. I love Sterling Shepard, Golden Tate, Slayton. I like them. I think they're very good. I like Evan Ingram. He's one of my favorite tight ends this year, considering where he's being drafted, if he can stay healthy. And then he has, like I said earlier, I like quarterbacks that have a running back they can dump it off to. Saquon Barkley is the definition of that. He could toss it to Saquon Barkley and get him an extra 40 yards. I think that Daniel Jones is going to come out and actually have a pretty good year this year. And that's it. Rapid round. I'm going too slow. Rapid round. All right. Ryan Tannehill had an absolutely fantastic year last year. He came to Tennessee, took over from Marcus Mariota, and then that offense just took off. Now, we saw some goods and some bads. He was extremely efficient. He was very accurate. I thought that he played out of his mind last year, but that was last year. And I don't think that his efficiency is going to stay that high. Also, you saw in the playoffs, there were games where he didn't throw for, I don't know, more than a couple hundred yards. It was not an impressive outing, and they were still doing well because they want to run the ball. Derrick Henry is the focal point of that offense. They're not trying to throw the ball every time down the field if they don't have to. They would just run. This isn't Matt Ryan. They're not going to throw a bunch of times. They're going to run the ball a lot. I think that he's going to have to use his legs a little more if he's going to stay fantasy relevant. Next. Joe Burrow, the rookie's in the house. I think that he's a great talent. Watch him at LSU in the championship game. He's absolutely fantastic. I like his weapons. Joe Mixon out of the backfield. I like when my quarterbacks have a running back that they can toss it to and get a bunch of free, easy yards. He has Tyler Boyd, AJ Green, and there's a couple other receivers that are also valuable. I think that he's going to have a very good season this year. I could see him throwing for 4,000 plus yards as a rookie. Watch out. Ben Roethlisberger. The only reason he wasn't higher was last year he got injured, and I haven't seen him without Antonio Brown. He was out. Antonio Brown's gone. Le'Veon Bell's gone. They replaced Le'Veon Bell with James Conner. James Conner's solid when he's healthy, but he has injury concerns. And then Antonio Brown has been replaced by Juju Smith-Schuster, kind of. Deontay Johnson. I do like their receiving core, and the Steelers are notorious for drafting great wide receivers. So I do think that they will utilize the wide receivers that they have, and I think that Ben Roethlisberger is being undervalued. He's going super late in drafts, and if everybody else is off the board, you could pick up Big Ben, and he can still throw for 4,000 plus yards and a decent amount of touchdowns, so watch out. This one worries me just a little bit, only because they don't want to throw the ball that much anymore. They want to run the ball. They want to give Dalvin Cook as many opportunities as possible, and that's going to take away from his upside. So I think his upside is limited. That being said, if they're not as good as they were last year and they have difficulty running the ball, they will need to throw, and I do think that he's extremely accurate. He's a very good quarterback. I like Kirk Cousins. It's all about the opportunity. If they let him sling it, he'll be good. But I kind of doubt they will, so that's why he's at the bottom of this tier. All right, on to the next one.
Tier 5. Rapid round.
All right, tier 5. We're going to start off with Jared Goff. I love his offense. I think that Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp are both very talented wide receivers. I like Tyler Higbee and Gerald Everett. He has a committee of running backs in the backfield, and I like Sean McVay. I think he has a good offense. Jared Goff can throw for a bunch of yards, and he can throw for a lot of touchdowns. I think he's a talented quarterback. He should be pretty solid this year. He's going pretty late, so if you need a flyer, by the way, these are all flyers. You don't need to draft most of these people unless it's like your last 2 rounds. They're going super late. So if you punt completely on quarterback, they're still viable quarterbacks here. Anyways, next. Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield had a terrible year last year. A lot of people have talked pretty badly about him. Odell Beckham Jr. being injured, I think, really held them back on this one. Odell Beckham being healthy this year. I like Jarvis Landry. He just has a lot of weapons that I like. You can't have all these weapons that I like and still not be viable. I think that he showed enough to where he has the talent. He just needs to put it together. And I'm hoping that in this year, he can come through. He's got some upside. He's got some fantastic receivers and great running game. The Browns have a lot of talent, and I think we were a year early on them. This year, I think they should be good. Phillip Rivers is not on the Chargers anymore. What am I doing? Colts, Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers is going to have a solid year this year. I like the offensive line for the Colts, and I think that him and T.Y. Hilton should basically be him and Keenan Allen, and I think Nyheim Hines is his new Austin Eckler. Next. Derek Carr has a lot of new weapons. I think that he could have some upside this year. He should be pretty okay. He's borderline whether or not I want to draft him. Gardner Minshew had a pretty solid rookie year. I think that he does some work on his legs. Keep an eye on him just in case he becomes relevant. All right, and that's going to be it for the quarterbacks. If you have any questions, don't forget to like and subscribe. Who do I have too high? Who's too low? Geoffrey, do you have any comments?
Good luck in your draft, Spain Nation. Cheerio. See you soon.
Don't forget, there's plenty of quarterbacks you can get late. Peace.